Hello, and welcome to Accredit Talk, where I give you a bite-sized summary of an accreditation standard that just might apply to your organization. My name is Tom Goddard. I'm the founder and chief executive officer of Integral Healthcare Solutions, a consulting firm dedicated to helping healthcare organizations get and stay accredited. The accreditation standard I'll be talking about today is from URAC's 2021 PBM standards version 3.0, and the standard is RM1-1 about regulatory compliance. This basically has four components to it. The first is you've got to have a compliance officer, a person who is accountable and responsible for the oversight of the entire compliance program. Now, of course, there will be people under that person executing specific functions, but you need to have a named compliance officer. Now, that compliance officer oversees three major functions in the compliance program, and they kind of make sense if you think about them. The first is to make sure that the organization knows what standards apply to the organization. I mean, what regulations, what laws apply to the organization. So, you need a tracking mechanism, not only to track what laws currently apply to the organization, but also what changes may happen in those laws. Those are two important components. Don't leave either one of them out. Track what laws currently apply, and then have a tracking mechanism through newsletters or participation in legislative committees or some other mechanism to track what's going on in the legal and regulatory environment in which your organization must operate. So, once you know the laws and regulations that apply to your organization, step one. Step two, you've got to have mechanisms, audit and monitoring mechanisms, to help your organization ensure that it does comply with all those laws and regulations. Now, those can be internal audit and monitoring mechanisms, and most commonly are. You've got to have them specified and clearly identified as to who is going to conduct those audits and those monitoring activities and how they're going to do that, how they're going to document it. All of this has to be in your compliance policies. The third and final component is when you realize, either through your audit and monitoring mechanisms or because it's been reported to you, either internally or externally, that the organization is out of compliance with any of the applicable laws and regulations that apply to your organization, you've got to have a mechanism to take action, institute a corrective action plan whenever that happens. So your policy, your compliance policy, needs to articulate what your organization will do in those instances. Now, what does URAC want to know? URAC wants to see these policies that contain not only a designation of the compliance officer, but how each of those three major functions of the compliance program are conducted. Now, here's a key to writing policies and procedures to comply with URAC's expectations. You've got to identify who's going to do it. You can't just say the organization will do this. That won't fly. You've got to say this job position is responsible for this function. How they're going to do it. You can't just say this person, this job is going to conduct audits. How are they going to do that? What are they going to look at? What mechanisms are they going to use? What tracking mechanisms are they going to use? Spreadsheets, newsletters to track laws and regulations. Get specific with respect to the how. Also, make sure that you identify how often these functions are going to happen. Are they going to happen quarterly, annually? Make sure your policy specifies that. So you'll submit to URAC your compliance policy or policies, or your compliance program description. You'll also want to submit a job description for your compliance officer that makes sure that it matches the requirements of this standard, which are also reflected in your policy. So if the compliance officer is in charge of all three of these functions, make sure that's specified in the job description, or if you contract for a compliance officer, the contract with that outside compliance officer. Most organizations have an internal person identified for that position. And then finally, you'll want to submit to URAC either a template corrective action plan or a whited out sample of a corrective action plan where you identified a compliance issue and took action on it, developed a corrective action plan and implemented the interventions that you identified that needed to be implemented in that corrective action plan in order to fix the compliance issue. That pretty much does it for RM1-1. Thank you for joining me on Accredit Talk. Hope to talk to you soon. If you want to talk further about this or any other URAC standard or any other standard that we work with, ACHC, Joint Commission, NAPB, NCQA, please, in the YouTube channel for this video, go to the comment box below and click on a link to schedule an appointment with me, and we'll talk. Have a great day.